I decided for my speech that the topic that I'm going to talk about is listening to points of view that people don't always like or agree with. I feel like we have all been in a situation that we've had to listen to someone that we do not agree with or we don't like what they're saying. I feel like when you were younger, most of the time it's probably like your parents, and then when you got older, it was like school teachers, and then it turns into just everyone like that you walk into on your daily life. And I realize that now, being an adult and coming to college and doing things on my own, that there are a lot of people in this world that you don't agree with, but I think that it's very important that you do learn how to communicate properly with those people. um, I use the textbook Communication in Our Lives to get most of my information. I felt like chapter 2, which was about perception and communication, was the chapter that helped really connect all of these little topics to each other. So that's where I got most of my information from, and I feel like we can all really relate to this because I feel like everyone has definitely been in a situation where they do not agree with someone, but that they listen to them. So the reasons why I feel like this is a important topic is that you can always learn new things. It can also open up your mind, and you can also learn respect, which is really important. So, going into my first topic of learning new things, I feel like every day we learn new things on a daily basis, whether we expect to learn it or not. And I feel like with that, like being said, like expecting or not, I think that you learn new things expected when you go to school. But I think that not expecting things is when you're just like out living your life and then you come across something and you learn something. And I feel like you could really learn something by communicating with other people because it really helps to understand more why people think the way that they think. So I think listening to different people's topics can teach you something that you didn't know before because you weren't interested in learning about them. So a lot of times when you're not necessarily interested from the first glance of a topic, like let's just say you're in school and you see a title of a book and you're like, wow, I'm really not interested in that. I'm not going to read it. But then you end up reading it and it's literally the best thing in the whole wide world. And you learn so much from the book. I feel like that is an example of you really thought that you weren't going to like something, but then you gave it a try and you listened or you read it or whatever the situation is. And that helped you to learn something new, and it helped to just create an amazing experience for you. It can also make a connection to something else in your life that you didn't always agree with. So, for example, like you might have always thought, like, I know this is like a weird thing, but maybe you always thought you hated tomatoes just because you did. Then you try them again and you realize that you actually like them. It's like that. So you can always connect things to like not wanting to hear about it or not liking it. And then you end up listening to this person talk or whatever the situation is. And you end up being like, wow, like I either do agree with it or I still don't agree with it, but I understand more now that I've listened to this person talk and listened to their points of view. So I feel like with that being said, that people definitely will learn more by just stopping and listening to what other people have to say. And with that being said, it goes into my second topic or my second point of learning, of opening your mind. I'm a big believer that opening your mind really just helps you to live such a better life. Like when you have such a closed mind, you're so closed off to people, you're so closed off to other things that are happening around you because you just don't even want to give anything a shot. So another reason that you should listen to people you disagree with is because it could possibly change your view on certain topics. So a lot of people, I feel like, really do experience this when they come to college. And what I mean by that is you might have been raised in a small town or you just know certain things from your town that you're raised in. And then coming to college, like there's so many different people coming together. And with that, like you have to have an open mind and you can't really stereotype people. Stereotyping is a predictive generalization about people and situations. And like I said before, those are people that have closed minds. They stereotype people. And if you do that, then you're never going to learn anything new. You're never going to have an open mind, basically. And you're not going to let someone tell you something that you're not familiar with. So sometimes we are raised believing in certain things, and as you get older, sometimes those views change based on people listening to other people and their thought process. So, with that being said, I mean, like, you could be raised, like, let's just use a broad topic, like, gay people were not common maybe 20 years ago. But now you can walk down the street and see all these couples holding hands, and it's an amazing thing, and it's great. And people didn't want to listen at first. They didn't want to open their mind to the possibility of this because they just didn't agree with it. And it was shut down so many times, or people shut people down from talking about it instead of communicating and realizing that these are reasons why we need to open our mind to communicate better with people. With learning new things, you can open your mind that applies to new views in your life. Like, you really can just have just such an open view and just change how you feel about life. I think that when you have an open mind and you really take a minute to put yourself in other people's shoes, I think that's the most amazing experience, because you may thought for a while, like, wow, this is how my life has been, but this person has lived their life this way, and this is why they feel the way that they feel. And with that being said, I feel like that goes into empathy, which is the ability to feel with another person or to feel what the person feels in a given situation. So when you open your mind and you put yourself in other people's shoes, it's easier that way to understand why they think a certain way. And lastly, just learning to be respectful with people that have different views than you. I think learning how to respect those around you with different views is very important. Sometimes you might not always agree with people, but it's important to give them the same respect that you want from them. And it allows you to be open-minded if you have a career, for example, where people have different views and you're able to communicate your differences in a peaceful way. So basically, in conclusion, listening to other people's views that you don't always agree with allows you to open your mind in multiple ways. It allows you to listen to their views, open your mind, and learn respect and learn how to communicate properly. Conversations happen every day, and a lot of people disagree, but if we just take the time to hear people out, we may learn a thing or two.